There is a kind of wealth almost no one talks about. It is not measured in dollars, not in followers, not in square footage or stock options or the number of cities you visited. It is measured in what you chose not to do. Think about the last time someone asked something of you. A meeting, a favor, a project, a commitment, and you said yes when every cell in your body was quietly screaming no. You smiled. You nodded. You added it to the list, and somewhere deep inside, something essential in you, some quiet, irreplaceable version of you, grew a little smaller. This is not a video about productivity hacks. It is not about time blocking or morning routines or the perfect note-taking system. Those things are fine, but they are rearranging furniture in a house that is already on fire. This is a video about something older, something more radical, something the most disciplined minds in history understood intuitively and what modern neuroscience is only now beginning to confirm. This is about the power of zero, the power of the empty calendar, the unanswered request, the declined invitation, the word that costs nothing to say but feels like everything to withhold, the word no. We live inside an architecture of yes. Every notification, every ping, every social obligation, every professional ask, they are all designed by systems far more intelligent than our instincts to generate one response: compliance. And we comply over and over and over again. We say yes to the call we don't need to take, yes to the meeting with no agenda, yes to the weekend plans we're dreading by Tuesday, yes to a life we never consciously chose. The result is a strange kind of exhaustion, not the clean exhaustion of hard work, not the earned tiredness of building something that matters. It is the hollow, formless fatigue of a person who has been everywhere and arrived nowhere. Modern culture has made busyness a virtue. We wear our packed schedules like armor. We perform productivity. We mistake motion for direction, volume for value, availability for generosity. But here is what the most effective people in the world understand. The ones who build things that last, who think clearly under pressure, who seem to operate at a different frequency than everyone else. They are not doing more. They are doing less. Radically less. Steve Jobs once said that he was as proud of the things Apple chose not to build as the things it did. Warren Buffett has called the word no the single most important tool in his arsenal. Marcus Aurelius, writing alone in his tent before battle, returned again and again to a single discipline. The discipline of desire, of wanting less, saying yes to less, being moved by less. These are not coincidences. They are signals pointing at something profound. Let us go deeper. Let us go past philosophy, past anecdote, and into the architecture of the brain itself. Your prefrontal cortex, the seat of judgment, planning, and long-term reasoning, is not infinite. It operates on a finite cognitive budget. Every decision you make, no matter how small, draws from that budget. Neuroscientists call this phenomenon decision fatigue. The more choices you process, the lower the quality of each subsequent choice becomes. A 2011 study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences examined over 1,000 parole decisions made by experienced judges across a full day. The finding was stark. The likelihood of a favorable ruling dropped from roughly 65% to nearly zero as the morning wore on. Not because the cases changed, but because the judge's mental reserves had been quietly depleted by each prior decision. Think about what that means. Your brain is not a supercomputer that runs at full capacity from sunrise to midnight. It is more like a battery. And every small accommodation, every agreement you didn't truly consent to, it draws power. Silently. Invisibly. Until one day you sit down to do the one thing that actually matters to you, and you have nothing left. But that is only half the picture. The other half is what neuroscientists call attentional residue. Coined by organizational psychologist Sophie Leroy, the concept is devastatingly simple. When you switch from one task to another, especially one you agreed to but didn't finish, a fragment of your attention stays behind. It haunts the new task. It dilutes your focus. It reduces the depth of your engagement with whatever is in front of you now. Every unfinished obligation, every task you said yes to out of guilt, Every commitment tethered to someone else's agenda rather than your own. They don't disappear when you close the tab or leave the meeting. They linger. They collect. They form a kind of cognitive fog that makes even simple work feel like moving through concrete. The human nervous system was not built for constant availability. It was built for depth, for long, uninterrupted stretches of focused engagement followed by genuine rest. The modern world has systematically destroyed both, and we have let it happen. One polite yes at a time. So, how do the people who understand this actually live? Not in theory, but in practice, day by day, decision by decision. There are 3 rules: simple to understand, difficult to hold, transformative when practiced. Rule 1: the hell yes standard. Derek Sivers, the entrepreneur and writer, put it with perfect precision. If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. Not a maybe I should, not a I suppose I could, not a it would be rude to decline. If your gut does not respond with immediate, unambiguous enthusiasm, if there is any hesitation, any reluctance, any quiet dread hiding beneath the surface of your polite consideration, the answer is no. This sounds extreme. It is extreme. That is precisely the point. Most of us are operating with a standard so low that almost anything qualifies as worth doing. A mildly interesting opportunity, a connection that might be useful someday, a project that isn't wrong, just not right. And so our days fill up with almost, with adequate, with fine. The hell yes standard does not leave room for fine. It holds space for exceptional. And exceptional, real, lasting, meaningful exceptional, requires a life that has been deliberately cleared of everything that merely qualifies. Rule 2: the friction tax. Every yes carries hidden costs, not just the time of the thing itself, but the anticipation before it, the recovery after it, the mental space it occupies while you're trying to be present somewhere else entirely. A 1-hour meeting is rarely 1 hour. It is the 20 minutes of dread beforehand, the 40 minutes of decompression after, and the 3 hours of scattered thinking in between where you couldn't fully commit to anything because part of you was already in that room. Before you say yes to anything, learn to calculate the true cost. Not just the surface time, but the full weight of what it will consume. Ask yourself, what would I not be able to do if I said yes to this? What gets displaced? What gets diluted? What version of myself shows up to everything else because of this one agreement? When you begin to think this way, you will say yes to far fewer things. And the things you do say yes to will receive a quality of presence and energy they have never had before. Rule 3: the identity anchor. The deepest, most durable form of no is not a refusal. It is a definition. When you know precisely who you are, when your identity is not vague but sharp, not aspirational but decided, the word no stops requiring explanation. It stops requiring courage. It becomes simply a description of reality. The musician who is in the middle of recording their most important work doesn't struggle to say no to the party invitation. They simply are someone who is finishing an album. The founder building in silence doesn't labor over declining the speaking engagement. They are someone who doesn't speak until the product speaks first. This is the Stoic insight applied to modern life. You do not say no because you are protecting your time. You say no because you know what you are. And what you are is incompatible with the request in front of you. Define yourself with precision. Not broadly, not I value focus or I care about health. Specifically, in terms of what you are building, what you are protecting, what you are refusing to compromise. Make that definition so clear that your no's become automatic, not performances of discipline, but natural extensions of identity. There is a version of your life that is already possible. It does not require more resources, more connections, more hours in the day. It requires only subtraction, a ruthless, loving, deliberate subtraction of everything that is not it. The ancient Stoics had a concept for this. They called it amor fati, love of fate. But embedded within it was something subtler, the understanding that your highest expression is not found by adding to yourself. It is found by removing everything false, everything borrowed, everything that was placed on you without your full consent. You are not a container to be filled. You are a signal trying to be clear. every unnecessary yes is noise, and every deliberate, intentional no. Every time you choose the silence of your own focused depth over the noise of someone else's agenda, you become a little more yourself. The most powerful people in the world do not have better tools than you. They do not have more willpower or more intelligence or some genetic advantage that exempts them from the weight of distraction. They have simply, quietly, repeatedly made a choice that most people are afraid to make. They have chosen themselves, not out of selfishness, not out of arrogance, but out of a deep, clear-eyed understanding that you cannot give what you have depleted. You cannot build what you have no space to imagine. You cannot become who you were designed to be if your life is permanently borrowed to everyone else's vision of who you should be. Zero is not emptiness. Zero is the beginning of everything real. If this reached something in you, if somewhere in these past few minutes a quiet voice said, yes, this is what I needed to hear, then you already know what your next step is. Not adding something to your life, removing something from it. Start with one no, a real one that costs you something comfortable, one that honors the version of yourself you are still in the process of becoming. And if you want to keep building that version, if you want more of this kind of thinking, this depth, this clarity, subscribe to Unplugged Mind. New episodes drop every week for the ones who are serious about the only project that actually matters, yourself.